It's just me so far. I'm just waiting for other people to get here. I'm going to pull up the chat on. Oh, I'm a little bit chilly. Aw, Cuddles. She just sent me a message. Oh, there's one person. Hello. I don't know who you are, so if you tell me, I can say hello to your name. There. Where do they want to go? I wanted to go onto YouTube and go here. Hey, Anot. We'll get started shortly. I'm just going in here to find my live stream so I can look at the chat from my phone. There it is.
At Audible, you'll always.
Ooh, yikes. You know, I'm going to like the video. Like the video. I'm just waiting for just a little bit longer. There. I've got access to the chat. Let me reach for a drink of water. Are you having a great day so far, Anot? My day's being very productive, I'll say that. My day is a very productive. I can't. Ooh, 2. Now there's 3 of us here. Well, I'm testing the sound because I've had to modify things, right? Tell me what it sounds like out there. Does it sound like there's the ocean in the background? I need to know so I can fix it, because I'm troubleshooting. I'm learning how to do this. Normally I have a mic in my face, but I have it above me now. And so tell me what you hear. If there's a hiss, then I speak, versus a hiss when I don't speak, so that I can figure out the madness. So I can figure out the madness. But anywho, let's begin anyway. Hypnosis and how it's happening to you right now. You see, the design of the body is such that it runs on autopilot, and it's meant to just do what it's told. Yes, one more to go. I know, we're getting to Friday. I get it. I hear that. All days are the same, I think. It just depends. The body is designed to take a command, right? And this is why habits exist, so that you can run on autopilot. But the problem with autopilot, if you didn't do it, is that you will be given a suggestion, right? I'm going to give you some scenarios. The latest news, we all know what the latest news is, right? I'll say the 4 against 1. You know what I'm talking about there. Anytime you have something really emotional in the news, in the media, and you react to it, you've been polarized. It means because you have a strong emotion, you're leaning one way. We call it left or right. You understand? Democrat, Republican, it's all the same bird. Right wing, left wing, there's one bird. You understand? So they're not different. They are exactly the same. You have the illusion of them being different, but they're not. So how that works with hypnosis is we get the message, we get the thing in the news. And as soon as you get it, it's usually emotionally charged. And because it is emotionally charged, you will lean either to the left or you will lean either to the right. But in that leaning, you will do something. In the leaning, you will do something. So you're being polarized to behave and act in a particular way. This is why when we talk about, I've been seeing some of these groups, separation, segregation, and I'm like, do you not see what's happening? When you separate people, you weaken them. When you separate people, you weaken them. When you separate the mind, by not being single-minded, you weaken the mind. Right? So if you don't like me and I don't like you, how are we ever supposed to unite and see what the real problem is? The real problem is not your neighbor. That's just what your body has been hypnotized into believing, that you have an enemy in your neighbor. And you know how we do this? Your neighbor's house is bigger than yours. Your neighbor's car, your neighbor's relationship, or lack thereof, right? All of these illusions that tell us that we're somehow separate, when in actuality, we are not separate. This was clearly seen in the Tower of Babylon in the Bible story. They were of one mind. And what did they do with that one mind? They wanted to get up to God, right? That's where they wanted to get to. So they all came together and I said, okay, you do this, and you do this. Delegation, right? And everybody followed one thing, one rule they all followed, and they got to where they were going. So much so that God, which is a little g, came down and said, whoa, slow your roll, humans, slow your roll. Now, what did he do? He disrupted the languages between them so they could no longer communicate. So what has happened is there's a separation of people. We see this separation by culture, right? Whether you're, whatever your culture is, there's a separation there. Some don't like you, these you love, and so on and so forth. But within that separation, it's not just that you're separated, it's that you are not asking to whose benefit is the separation. Look at how long the separation has been going on. And we've not gotten any closer. Why? Because the separation is an illusion. Somebody gave this analogy. There was a jar of ants. And they shook up the jar and poured out the ants. The ants started fighting amongst themselves. But not once did any one of the ants stop and ask, hey, who shook the jar? Which means, when you hear the news and you are polarized, when you hear something startling in the news, mind you, it's not startling, it's the same old, because you're predictable. So that's why the news is designed the way it is. It is designed to get a response from you, which means you are polarized. And when you are polarized, you will behave the way you have been polarized to behave. So now you're not even thinking for yourself. You're just reacting blindly because you've allowed your emotions to drag you. And not only did they drag you, but you didn't stop to ask, to whose benefit is it that I behave this way? You know why we don't ask? Because we are caught up. That's the design of the human. Recognize it for what it is. When you see that it is the design of the human, then you begin to realize how you can use it for your own benefit. You can see it. You know there's a problem. Now we have the quote unquote gender war, right? That too is an illusion. Because why? Women want to be heard and understood. Men want to be respected. So now they're arguing amongst themselves. If you are arguing amongst yourselves, ain't nobody making babies. See it for what it is. So now you look at it. Think really big. You separated the cultures. You separated the countries. You separated governments. You separated. Now think smaller. You're separating people. And when you separate people, the last bastion to be separated is the mind. How do you know this? It's the law of cause and effect. And it's also the law of correspondence. Shoot, it's all of them because you can't separate them. How do you know what's coming? As above, so below. Think bigger. If you see that the masses are being separated, well then, and the individuals are being separated, what's left from the individual? The mind of the individual is left to be separated. And once your mind is separated, you all know that scripture, a house divided against itself can never stand. A double-minded man will get nothing. Why would you get nothing? Because without the ability to singularly focus upon something, you cannot bring it into existence. And if you cannot focus to bring something into existence, you will be controlled all the time. But what happens? We relinquish our individuality. I'm not talking individuality as, oh, I am Angela, and thus I am not Walter. Walter and I, and Anot and I are one. One what? One awareness. We're just in different bodies. That's all that makes us different and individual. The body makes the individual. The mind is unified. So when you recognize what is happening, when you watch the news, good day, Miss Peace. What a pleasure it is to see you. When you recognize the news, your social media stream, all of those things have one purpose only, and that is to separate you. That is to separate you. So why is it important that the people be separated? Why is that? Look at what happens to that little deer that is separated from the herd. Along comes the cheetah or the lioness, but either way, as long as it is separate, it is weaker and it can be taken out. So every day you're hypnotized. Do this, chase that, acquire this, get that. And because you are so hypnotized, you don't see what you're chasing and to what end it follows. And so here we are, spending our time looking back at the past. I'm speaking to me now. Looking back at the past, complaining, why am I not any better? My life sucks. I have tried everything and nothing is going to change it. It's always sucked and it's always going to suck. You see that hypnosis you're under? To believe the lie that you're not worthy. You're just this human. As Agent Smith says, I hate it here. I somehow feel I've become infected by it. That's what he says in the Matrix. Right? But why? Because I don't know the answer as to who they are. I don't know that information. But I can tell you there has to be. Because within every human is the propensity for light and the propensity for darkness. But if you keep the one you feed is the one you will become. So if you notice around you that the world is looking dark and it's looking bleak, And every time you turn around, there's more darkness and more bleakness on the news. Because the goal is to make you dark. The goal is to extinguish the light. That's the goal. Whose goal? But I'm not relinquishing my light. Hell no. Think about it. You think it's bad now. Take the light away. That's not something I ever want to imagine. But that hypnosis is happening every day because we are caught up. We are caught up in the chasing of the carrot, the illusion of a better. And then what happens? We end up fighting each other. That's what we do. Every time you hear it, I'm not even, like I said, I'm not going to say, but I will say 4 against 1. I will say Floyd, all of these things that you hear that breed separation, and they further feed the darkness that is within humanity. Because there is dark and there is light. But the one you feed is the one that becomes more powerful. Now get this part. Even though the darkness may fight, even though the darkness may try to deceive and hide itself, light conquers. Why does light conquer? Light conquers because it is the thing that brings forth. There's darkness within the light. You can't have the shadow without light. So you take the light away, then the shadow must cease to be. You see, the hypnosis is happening because now the attention span is down to 8 seconds. 8 seconds. That's as much as we can give. That's as much attention as we can give something. 8 seconds. Why? Because if you lack the ability to focus, then you cannot create. What are you creating? Well, here's the question. What do you mean 8 seconds? And if I can't hold my focus longer, I can't create. If you cannot create, you do not see what is happening. And it's not even, it's the awareness, it's the understanding of a thing, the comprehension of a thing, of why it's happening. But then, Angela, you're such a conspiracy theorist. Look around you. The Bible says you'll hear of wars and rumors of war. You see, it's the rumor of the war that does more damage than the war itself. Why so? Because the rumor breeds fear. Why is fear important? Because fear makes you freeze and do nothing. And when you freeze and do nothing, darkness has a foothold. Because then you want to do what it takes for you to survive. Does that make sense? There's 5 of you here. Anot, Walter, and Miss Peace. Who are the other 2 mystery people? Do you have any questions about how we are being programmed? Think about it. I'll say this and you should know what I'm talking about. In order for you to pay your bills, you must do what I want you to do. And if you don't do it, you won't get any money. And if you don't get any money, then you can't pay your mortgage, you can't pay for your car, you can't feed your family. And what did people do? People did what they needed to do to take care of their families. That's what they did. Yes? That is exactly what they did. So now, why is that important to know who's going to do what? because then you know how far you can push. Then you know how much pressure to apply to make someone comply. The hypnosis is strong. Do you have any questions? I can hear my boy, he's playing. Do you have any questions? I'm just reading the chat. It's right here too, but there's a delay between the chat of the phone and the chat of YouTube. You see, how do you protect yourself? That's the most important part. How do you protect yourself? You protect yourself by being the one to program you. I am narrating the emerald tablets again. It does something to you. In order to protect yourself, first you must be aware of what's going on around you. And yes, Miss Peace, it's more and more visible how programmed we are and how programmed we've allowed ourselves to become only because we had no idea what was happening in the shadows. Let me say this to you. If you can put a name to it, then it's a scapegoat. Oh, the government this, oh, the government that. The government is a scapegoat. The government is who you blame because you don't know who to blame, because you don't know who's behind the government. So to protect yourself, you have to know who you are. Every man has his price, they say. What are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? That is the striving that one must do. And what are you striving for? The light, always. And that's the thing. The hypnosis is so strong, it's got you believing you've got a choice. And then at the end of the day, you give away your light. Be the one to program you, which means you decide, what am I going to listen to? What music am I going to listen to? What movies am I going to watch? You see, once the seed of fear has been planted, you've got to be damn near strong to uproot that foolishness. But strong ye must be. Oh, clearly I'm reading the Emerald Tablets. That Shakespearean language is just so potent. It is the way in which we hide what we want to say. There's a word in it that Thoth uses. He uses the word and he says list, L-I-S-T. You know, you write a grocery list, you have a listing. But when he says list, you know what he's meaning? To list is to lean. A drunken man will list, right? When Thoth says to list, he's not saying listen, he's saying lean into me. Lean so you can hear what I'm telling you. Lean your ear. Right? So today, recognize what is being said without a word. Recognize what is being said. Al Sharpton is coming out with his theories, but the theory serves yet to divide us. Light always supersedes darkness. Miss Peace, you are correct. Everything comes. Let there be light, and there was. So pay attention to what is happening to you. If you find yourself being motivated to act out of fear, stop what you're doing and ask yourself, is it danger or is it fear? Am I gonna be in the light if I make this choice? Fear is not of light, you know. Fear is not of light. David. Hello, David. But yes, you see what I'm saying to you, or you hear what I'm saying. The play on words is again serving the purpose. This is why justice corrupts. Because all of the fancy words and jargon is there to confuse you. And out of confusion, because you don't know what's happening when you're confused, you get afraid. Anytime that you go somewhere and fear has been the emotion that is elicited from you, you are being polarized. And when you are polarized, your actions are predictable. If I go in that room and I poke that child, he's super ticklish. I know. So if I go in there and I poke him, how much can I poke him before he gets mad? Because he can't fight back because I pin him down and tickle him, right? The joys. How far can I push him? That's what's being done to all of us. How far can we push them? And because the most that the human will do is get a foghorn and yell. That is the most the human will do. That's why we riot and picket, as if that's where the power is. Power's not there, it's here. If you're busy rioting and picketing over there, what are you missing? It's the magician's greatest ploy, the sleight of hand. And the hypnotist has the power to make you believe what is not. Is it Neville Goddard? I think it was, I don't remember who it was, but I remember the story. The hypnotist is on the stage, and a man and his daughter come up to the stage. And the hypnotist says, "You will not see your daughter. I will make her disappear." He hypnotizes the man. And he puts the daughter in front of the man. And he gives her a watch to put behind her back. The father looks. He does not see the daughter, but he can describe the watch in great detail. He was programmed to believe his daughter wasn't there, and he believed it. And it almost looked like he could see through walls, right? Because she's standing in front of him and the watch is behind her back. He has no idea she's there, but he can describe the watch. She can't even see the watch. How did he see it? Because he doesn't see what is in front of him. Because he was hypnotized to be blind to something. What are we being hypnotized to be blind towards? And you know what's causing us to be blind? The hatred we have for one another. Because it is a powerful emotion. It is a most powerful emotion. And because of that hatred that we walk around with on a daily basis, you can sugarcoat it and call it a bias if you'd like. A prejudice. Call it what you want. It is a blinder. And it is blinding you from seeing one thing, that there is only oneness. We may have many bodies, many personalities, but there's only one consciousness. There's only one thing that is aware of itself, the consciousness within you. But you have flavored it by way of your personality because of how we were raised. Somebody asked me today, how could you be so patient with me? And I was like, because when I want to learn, I need somebody to be patient enough to teach me. because anybody will tell you, if you know my bestie, oh God Almighty, she'll tell you, Angela, that heifer is stubborn. That's what she'll tell you. So I must have patience because I want patience. But you know, the lies that we believe about ourselves. So what if you don't talk to your mother? What if you don't talk to your father? Who cares? That is an illusion. That, listen, hear me. The stuff happened. The abandonment, the neglect, the lack of love, it happened. But it happened because humanity has been deceived. By whom? What you asking me? I don't know who deceived us, but I know there's a lie. Because a lie, like the truth, cannot stay hidden. Those with eyes of discernment will see it. I'm not upset. I know it sounds like I'm upset, but I'm not. I really am not. But do you hear me today? Look at what is going on around you. Look at the evidence. Look at the effect, and you can trace it all the way back to a cause. Look at it. We're walking around with these open wounds of, my life is the pits. I can't get past this. I'll never be any better than I am. This is what we believe of ourselves. That's what we believe of ourselves. So if you believe that of yourself, how do you think you're going to behave? You've been polarized to think that way of yourself. Thus, you behave like less than. And when you behave like less than, you begin to treat other people like they are less than. Dr. Peterson says, you have to have the capability to cause harm. Because if you don't have the capability to cause harm, harm will be caused to you. But in my opinion, he is right, yes. But to counter it, I say this. It is the lack of discipline. It is the lack of discipline that will make me hurt you and you hurt me. I'm talking like brute force. I'm not talking petty things. Aw, your butt's so big in that dress. I'm not talking about that. Right? Miss Peace. Stop it. I feel like I'm living among a bunch of Walking Dead people and I'm trying not to get bit. Girl, let me tell you, ever since I saw I Am Legend, the sunset, girl, don't catch me outside after that. And I try to be as quiet as possible indoors. Like, it's really bad. That messed with me. You see what it does? When we allow things to be projected into us without asking questions, see the projection, and then you ask, why? Why is that important? This is part of how we can prevent ourselves from continually being hypnotized. The first step is to know that you are being hypnotized. You are. You are. You are being caused, you're being asked to believe a lie. I could name names, but I will not. You know what I'm saying when I say to you, you're being asked to believe a lie. What's the most prominent lie right now? Say it to yourself. What's the most prominent lie now that you're being asked to believe? Why is that? Because if you will believe such a blatant lie, then the little ones will slip right past you. And you won't know. But you see, every man has to play his part. So the ones who struggle with that, it's being hyped up so that they continue to struggle with it. And the more they struggle with it, the more we conform and the more we bend. And the more we bend, the more we are deceived by giving in to darkness. And not even giving into darkness, kicking and screaming. Oh no, we give into darkness We give in because we don't want to be judged. We don't want to be punished. Who in the hell is going to punish you? Every other person I'm in contact with is at war with their family. But that's my point. They don't see that they're at war with each other. And they're just arguing and cussing and doing what they're doing. And nobody's asking, why is this happening? That's part of the hypnosis that you're under, to not question. And you know how they do it? If you ask questions, you'll be made an example of. So other people don't ask questions. Why? Because of fear. Now do you see how vile fear is? And it's happening to us all the time. You drive down the street, everybody's talking about immigration and refugees. But what nobody's asking is, how were the refugees created? How were they created? But yet we are going to hate on the refugee. You see what I'm saying to you? It's not the refugee that's the problem. It's what caused them to become a refugee that you have to look at. Because that's all part of it. Part of what you say. It's part of it. Look at it. Don't just go out and hate your neighbor because they just got to this country and they're getting more. I've paid taxes here my whole life. Listen, I understand. I've paid taxes here my whole working life. But I do know that if somebody is going to feed me this information to make me hate another human being. You see, you can be fed the information, but you don't have to hate. You don't have to hate the other person. Have some level of discernment within yourself. Does that make sense? Why? Why should I hate? Well, hate only harms me. And that's the illusion. That is the hypnosis. Somebody comes on and says, hey, this person's trying to take what you have. Fight for what you have. They're trying to take it. And because we're human and we have emotions, right? And we're undisciplined in our emotions. What do we say? Oh, you're right. They're trying to take what I've got. I will fight to the death. Charlton Heston, pry it from my cold, dead hands, he says. What you fighting for? You're fighting and you don't even know why you're fighting. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The hypnosis is happening day in and day out, right from the music to the movies to the food that you eat. And how you feel about food. You got a vegan who's going to beat you. They may not have enough strength to beat you, but I digress. I don't know. In the winter, I'm not. Because we're cold. You can't have cold in cold. Because you're going to be cold. And cold is a killer. In the summer, I'll go raw. Eat to the season that you're in. But now, you've got people so afraid to eat. They just showed you on the news all these gallons of milk being thrown away. Why? The illusion of a scarcity of food. If you think that you're going to have to fight for food, oh, now you're predictable, aren't you? You've been polarized. Oh my God, eggs are so expensive. My chicken stopped laying eggs. This is what you're hearing. Huh? Eggs cost that much? Oh, cut that off the grocery bill. There's a shortage of food. And what happens to you when you believe that there's a shortage of food? You get desperate. Understand what is being done to you. I don't know who is doing it. I don't know who is doing it. But when you start telling people it is better to grow a lawn than to grow your food, we're going to have problems. Why is it better to grow grass? What the? Do I look like a deer to you? I don't. Understand what is being done. Understand what is being done. You don't need necessarily to know who is doing it, because like I said, I don't know who's doing it. I don't. But I tell you, if you can name a name, they're not the ones. Do you know why? Because anonymity is key. That is why it has been perpetuated for so long. What's been happening to humanity? Anonymity. Remain in the shadows is where darkness functions. It never puts itself out front so you can name it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you now? So if you complain about your government, they're not the ones. They're just doing what they told. Who's telling them? Again, I don't have that answer. But if you understand the nature of light, light illuminates and brings things to the surface. Darkness hides. Why does it need to hide? What is there that I should not be seeing, that I should not be knowing? If you don't see it, you don't know it. And if you don't know it, you are unwise. You are ignorant of it, noscient of it. The house is cold, so I can't even break a sweat right now. Because normally I would be breaking a sweat. I get so fired up about these things. You walk down the street, somebody look at you the wrong way, they're going to cuss them out. Listen, if you are being kept in a perpetual state of anger, what stems from anger? It stands to reason that after anger must come violence. Well, why is violence important? To control violence, you need an army. And if you need an army, listen, armies only have one function. Seek, locate, annihilate. Now, if you were a Doctor Who fan, you know exactly what that is, the Dalek. That is their mantra. I have a mug. Every time I pick it up, that's what it says, the Dalek. That's what an army does. It fights a war. And what if there's no war to be fought? Then one will be created, because you cannot have an army without a war. Cause and effect. Like I said, I don't know who's doing it, but I do know if you do not take control of your mental faculties will be taken over for you. And then we run around saying, yes, master. That's what you run around saying, because we don't have our own control over ourselves. How do you get control of yourself? You get control of yourself by understanding you have control of yourself. That is your sovereign right. So when you say, how am I going to be today? How am I going to behave? You decide how you will behave in spite of what you see, because the eyes can be easily deceived. And what you hear. You think you hear one thing. You think you hear one thing, but something else is meant by what you just heard. Double entendre is what they call it. So be in control of your mental faculties. Decide how you will behave in spite of what is going on around you. If you are in a place where you are being incited to fight, get the hell out. Learn. What do you want to be? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? How do you want to behave? That's on you. You go to the store, listen, and you hungry and you tired and you in line and somebody just cuts in front of you. You gonna drop your stuff and beat them? Well, then you are becoming the animal that we are being programmed to be. Think about it. Animals just act on instinct for survival. We have the capability to think and to speak. But you got mother against daughter, father against son. You think that's there for shits and giggles? Come together. Oh, but I can't trust them. I don't know them. Listen, the same thing that's being done to you is being done to me. That is the unification factor. That'll get us a lot further than we think. But I digress. You must use the law. The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. As within, so without. As above, so below. Everything vibrates between two poles. A swing to and fro, creating a rhythm, an ebb and a flow. Every cause has its effect, and every effect its cause. A projection of the will, giving life, giving form. The laws are ever evident before us. And if we would see them, we would behave accordingly. There's nothing too big or too small. Why? Because as above, so below. As above, so below. If there's a war going on down here, well, then you better know there's a war going on up there. Up there where? Here. War of the mind. We're fighting ourselves. So use the law. See when you go around what's happening. The minute you hear the news, you say, oh, look at that. Somebody trying to polarize me. That's okay. Not today. That's what you do. Not today. Do not allow yourselves to continue being polarized. Don't do that anymore. Yes, David, they are dead spiritually. They're just walking. They're walking in darkness, David. That's what it is. So let us stop walking in darkness and walk in the light. When you walk in the light, what is the light? The law is the light. And the only reason why mankind can be pitted against each other is because we have forgotten the law. And it's not even that we forgot the law. The law is written in your DNA. Everything works according to law. Right? But when you're kept in darkness, you don't know what the light is. So you behave as the darkness does. As Bajans tell you, you can hide and buy land, but you can't hide and work it. And David? Walter, slaves of a mental death and power. Yes, this is it. So what are we going to do today? Learn the law. That's why I tell you, memorize it. When you memorize the law, you begin to recognize where it's happening. And then you can act accordingly. You've got to learn how to counter. Because listen, what's being done now is being done according to law. The law is used whether it is good, bad, or indifferent. It is used. So you have to learn to counter that law. If you can recognize, if you can see that polarity is being used, raise your vibration, because vibration is the higher law. So you use the higher law to counter the lower law. I just went off center, but that's okay. Let me come back to center. Right? Learn. That's why I tell you the importance of learning these laws. So that when you see what's happening, if the law of gender is happening, what's happening? Something's being projected. What's higher than gender? Causation, cause and effect. What do you want to happen? Then think. What do I want to happen to counter this? How am I going to behave to counter that projection? Use one law against the other. You can't break them. You just use one that's higher, because that's what you call countering. A counterbalance, you understand? Because the universe is balanced. So when you counter something, you help yourself to maintain balance. So if you walk around and you're in a place where you have allowed yourself to be polarized. Why were you polarized? Because of your vibration. So how do you raise your vibration? Check what's inside of you. This is part of traditional Chinese medicine, you know. If the temperature changes and becomes more damp and your joints begin to complain, that's because you have dampness within you. As within, so without. Cause and effect. The effect can't happen without the cause. So because you have dampness within yourself, the dampness on the outside will affect you. You see, every day I look back on going to school for traditional Chinese medicine. I'm grateful for it because it led me here. It led me here to understand the law. It says as above, so below. If you got a blockage above, you have a blockage below. Right? Also in TCM, organs are interiorly and exteriorly related. As within, so without. The nose is the lungs. Heart would be the tongue. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when you have memorized the laws and you're walking through your day and you see a law, you're like, I can counter that by using the one above it. That's why you can't separate them, because they are one. Does this make sense to you today? Does this make sense? I'll get a sip of water while you tell me if it's made sense to you, so that now you can do better. Because nothing is more exhausting than having to fight all the time. And what are you fighting? Your shadow. This is why you get defeated so easily, because we're fighting ourselves. Ain't nobody know you like you. You get up in the morning, I'm not good enough. I won't have enough. I'll have struggled my whole life. Listen, I'm speaking to me, not just you. You guys just, listen, y'all are just here along for the ride. I do this in the bathroom mirror every day. I have these conversations. Ephesians 6:12. James, Revelations, Ephesians. Galatians, Ephesians 6, verse 12. Hold on, y'all. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. Let me tell you where they got this verse from. The emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. If you don't know, you should know. I'll link a book in the description below. Right? Yes, Walter. But remember, as above, so below. It's in our mind because we are below. But in the heavens, the sky, the unseen. What's unseen? The shadow. What's in the shadow? Darkness. See? I will link that book below. That book is a brilliant book. The way she has it laid out. Because the emerald tablets are, they have much information. Much. But she has it by verse within the tablet, so that you can, when you read the verse, you can ponder the verse. Let me tell you, I'm just about to start Emerald Tablet 7. Oh. I don't even know how many times I've read the Emerald Tablets. I have no idea. None. But I tell you this. Seek the light. wisdom. Yes, Walter, Tahuti. That is his, is it the African name? Tahuti? Because Thoth is the Egyptian, Hermes is the Greek. Right? Listen. Memorize the laws. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, gender. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, gender. One more time. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. When you memorize those, you see them. And when you see them, you behave differently because you're no longer noscient, meaning you don't know because you didn't have all the information. But now that you have this information, do something with it. Learn how to live in the light. Understand when you're being deceived. Understand when you're being given the choice of illusion. If you're a parent, you'll know me when I say this. You have to go to bed. You can choose 8 or 8:30. Is there a choice? Or does he have to go to bed? Whether he chooses 8 or 8:30, he goes to bed. But did he have a choice? No, but you gave him the illusion of choice. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You gave him the illusion of choice. You have Republican, you have Democratic. Or in Barbados, you got the Democratic or the Labour Party. But all parties belong to the government. So do you have a choice of who's in control, which party wins? No, you don't. Because they still work for the government, whether left or right wing, whether conservative or liberal, they still work for the same place. Remember that. It is the illusion of choice. As per the Merovingian, he said so too. But if you would stop to look at it and examine it, you would see that it is an illusion. Just like I told you. Go to bed at either 8 or 8:30. Pick your time, but you're still going to bed. But it looks like you got a choice. Shouldn't preach. Too late. Does that make sense today? If there are no questions, I don't want to keep y'all here because I have chapter 7. Oh, yes. Tablet 7 is next. While I'm here, I'm going to link it for you right now because my phone is up. Think about these things and ask your question. And remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Consider joining because there's plenty more information where this came from. I will also be reading the Emerald Tablets. We'll have time for that and we'll discuss it. The chapter will be given and so on and so forth. Ooh. Let me go here. What's the name? Study edition, the Emerald Tablets. Let me go here, and I'm going to go here and say, Rebecca, Marina, Messenger on YouTube, on Script, on Amazon. Oh, phooey. I'll go back here and I'll do that because I didn't sign in. If anything, I will change it, but I want the link. I'm going to drop it in the chat below. Live chat here, like this, and do that. There. It is in the chat below now. But I trust this time today made sense to you. Memorize those laws so that you can recognize them, especially when they're being used intentionally. Recognize when they're being used intentionally. By whom? The government is always using these things. Not that they know that that's what they're doing. They've just been given a missive. Do this. And they do it. They don't know why they're doing it, but the person who gave the directive, wherever it came down from, notice wherever it came down from, gave the directive. They're just following the directive, and we behave according to law. So if you're going to behave according to law, learn how to counter. I trust that made sense to you today, and I appreciate you spending this time with me, because it is important that we understand our true power. Stop sitting at home and complaining that you are not good enough. Whether that be good, smart, beautiful, who cares? It is a lie. As my grandmother would say, a lie from the pit of hell. It's a lie. Who cares whether I'm pretty or not? Is it the light? That's what I want to know. And if it's not the light, well then, I must stick to ugly according to the rest of the world. You understand what I'm saying to you? Oh, nobody wants to be my friend. Listen, walk in the light, and you will draw the right kind of friends toward you. So don't fret. I'm preaching to me. You are just along for the ride. This is how I give myself that pep talk every day, to remind myself that as long as I walk in the light, all shall be well. But let me tell you something. Oh, is it ever easy? Oh, it is very easy to fall back on the laurels and just get swept up in it all over again. That's what the striving is. That's what the struggle is, to stay on the pathway of light. Because all of the trappings, oh, what a word, all of the trappings, I told you language is beautiful. All of the trappings are there to distract you. What are trappings? Things that ensnare you. They are peppered along the pathway. And it is up to you, and it is up to I, or me, to say what we're going to do. If you say I'm going to stay on the path, well then set the habit that you always stay on the pathway of light. And you set the habit that you can discern and recognize the laws and move and counter accordingly. Set the habit so that you're not just running around trying to act when the thing happens. Be like a Boy Scout. Be prepared. Wow, the internet is whatever it is, but you know what? I asked for this today because the heater always comes on. And I'm like, oh, it mucks up the sound, you know? And I said, you know what? No. And it maybe came on twice since I was here. Maybe 3 times at the most. So I'm not going to push it. I'm going to just tell you this. Memorize the laws so you can recognize the laws, so you can counter as you utilize the laws. And if there aren't any questions that you can think of right now, that's cool. But if you come up with a question, slide into my DMs on my About page on YouTube. All of the platforms that I'm on are there. Choose the one that you're on and send me a DM. Or you can hit that little email button and email me. Make sense? Oh, I sure trust that this recording came out clear because I have no idea what it sounds like to you. But the message must be understood. So for everybody who was here, there's 8 people here. Anna, Miss Peace, Walter, David, that's 4 of you. And 4 of you have not made yourselves known. And that's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to. Right? You can find me. You know where to find me. Yeah? I'll be here. Now I'm going to pack up my equipment and take it back into the studio and continue on with the Emerald tablets. When the book is completed, I will post the link in the description. I know I am going to post it in the description, but I have to be on the computer for that, so I can do it quickly. Instead of doing it from my phone, I just drop the link in there. Peruse it. Check it out. That's the book I'm working on right now. And I choose very wisely which projects to work on. I wasn't always so discerning back in the day. Yeah, I wasn't. No. But it's all good. That's it. I'll see you tonight for nighttime guided meditation right here at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then in the morning at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, I'll see you for morning inspiration. Yes? Oh, soul of a man. The chosen ones always get to choose wisely. Yes, you must. That's why the scripture says to be wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. Adopt the characteristics. Yes. Anywho, I thank you for spending some time with me today, and I will see you tonight. Much love, everybody. Much love.